You won't see it for long.
It is a gorgeous Northern California afternoon. Rockies playing game 3 of this 4-game set against the Giants, and the first two have gone swimmingly well. AT&T Park. Looking across at the East Bay where the Oakland Athletics play. The Rockies now 25-20. The Giants come in 2 games south of 500. Chris Stratton out of Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis's hometown, makes his way to the mound. Charlie Blackmon, who homered in his final at bat yesterday, will lead things off for the Rockies. And here's who will follow Charlie in Buddy Black's Southwest batting order. David Dahl's back in there. He'll bat in the 2 spot. Then it's Nolan, of course. Gerardo Parra will bat cleanup. He's in left field. Trevor Story, he has started every ball game at shortstop. Ian Desmond, the hitting star from last night with 4 ribs. Tony Walters, Daniel Castro, and John Gray. Chris Stratton, fellas, started out very nicely this season. His first 4 starts, 4 or 5 starts. The last 4 have been a little uneven, a little wobbly.
Very wobbly, and part of the reason why is he's been walking quite a few batters. Walks per 9 is up around 4, and left-handed hitters the last 4 games are hitting .383 against Stratton. Pretty simple mix of pitches. Fastball about 91 miles an hour. Will like to throw his slider not in the middle part of the plate. Hitters are hitting .421 against that pitch.
Second fastball at 91, and as advertised, it is a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike on Charlie. He is 2 for 4 lifetime against Chris Stratton with a home run. And last night, he hit a towering home run to right. It was his 12th home run of the year. 11 have come out on the road. This one went out at a 45-degree launch angle. And this is back up the middle, and it's going to squeak, well, not all the way through, but good enough for a base hit. So Charlie with a leadoff single. The reason I mention it, along with Pedro Alvarez, this is the highest arcing home run in baseball this year.
You can't often call a homer a moonshot. A 45-degree launch angle, and when you watch Charlie hit it, he looked straight up. He was bringing rain. He hit it long enough over that fence to clear the 309, and it's his 11th road homer.
Here's David Dahl. I chatted with Charlie this morning about that, and he said it's one of the few times that I did something in this ballpark where the ballpark actually paid me back, and you guys can appreciate that because this is such a hard place to hit. But he hit that towering fly ball, pulled almost down the line where it's pretty short. 2-run home run late. Rockies went from a 4-1 lead to a 6-1 lead. It also enabled the Rockies to sit Wade Davis down. He was warming up. If it's 4-1, he's coming in the game, and instead they brought in Mike Dunn, so you save some bullets for your all-star closer. Stratton does pay attention to the running game. Not the easiest guy in the world to run against. Sometimes you get this kind of count, and if you're going to run on Stratton, this seems to be the kind of count to do it in. Breaking ball count, 0-2, 1-2. Charlie not going, and this is in the air to fairly deep center field. And Charlie's going to tag, and he's going to move up. Just good base running again by the Rockies. I have to tell you what, you guys have played a lot of games here. It is really windy. That ball off the bat you thought was a routine fly ball to center, Corey. That thing ended up in the middle of the track.
Yeah, the wind's kind of swirling out here. We were watching the flags earlier from right field. It looked like they were blowing across the left. The flags in center were blowing straight out, but you can see that he's got to drift back a little bit further than he expected. Charlie got back to the bag with no outs immediately, knowing it was going to be caught. Does a good job getting to second base, getting into scoring position.
So the Rockies trying to build a run, and they have the guy who's really good at driving them in at the plate, Nolan Arenado. Nolan has 4 hits and 9 at-bats in the series, which is terrific, but has yet to drive in a run, which is unusual when facing the Giants. He has tormented them throughout his career. 78 runs batted in 90 ball games in his career against the Giants. That has Spilly off camera shaking his head.
It's just crazy. I mean, it comes down to opportunity, but then in those opportunity, getting a pitch to hit. We know how well he hits with runners in scoring position. 344 this season for Nolan Arenado, and he's always had a knack for it. He's always had a nose for it. And that is a legitimate trait, a tool that players have. Not all players have the nose to hit with runners in scoring position.
And he's got a 2-0 count to work with. Stratton's had some issues of late in the first inning. And a line drive to left. That should get, well, Charlie's going to test the arm, and instead the throw's going to second. 1-0 Colorado. Great start. Arenado with the single. I thought Blanco would have an opportunity perhaps to come home with that, but he opted immediately to make sure that Nolan didn't move up on a throw to the plate.
Watching this route by Blanco in left field, I think he's respecting the fact that it's Charlie Blackmon at second base. And Charlie didn't get a great read off the bat, hanging curveball to Nolan. And Blanco immediately just goes to second. It's Charlie. Stu Cole waving the right arm. I mean, I don't think there is a play at the plate.
But don't you throw to the cutoff man, third baseman?
Typically, yes.
That's down on Parra. 1-0 Colorado out of the gate. And when the Rockies score first, Spilly, what's their record?
They're 20-4.
Not a baby.
It's my favorite stat.
So we were talking about the wind Dougie handed me. It's 21 miles per hour out of the west, which means it is blowing straight out through center field.
And here's a line shot. Manfred makes the catch. Nolan read it. He dives back in safely. 2 outs. And that'll bring up Trevor Story. Here's the Giants defensively. There's their perennial Gold Glover at short, Crawford. Blanco, Hernandez, and McCutchen in the outfield. And at second base, you have Miguel Gomez getting the start. Posey played first yesterday, back behind the plate. He was behind the plate Thursday. Nick Hundley did the catching yesterday.
I think it's safe to say, watching Trevor Story dig in, this is the best we've seen him at the plate in 2018. He's in a great place fundamentally. He's in a great place mentally. Last 10 games, he's hit .324, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs.
And again,
the numbers are bearing it out as well.
And the contact rate is way up. 0-1 on Trevor. Crowd still getting settled in. Breezy Saturday afternoon. Nolan takes off.
I like it.
Yeah. Rockies have been, we talked about how successful they've been running the bases this year. Stolen base percentage at 80%, but they've also been good with the sneak attack guys. You know, guys you wouldn't think would run.
Opportunistic.
Good word for it. Ball's low, 1-2. Story hitting .375 this year with 3 jacks in the first inning. An OPS over 1,500 in the first. Trying to add to that right now. Charlie, a base hit. Moved up on a deep fly ball by Dahl. Nolan was running again as that's fouled off.
For the Win is brought to you by Pizza Ranch. For the Rockies, it's pretty simple. Be right. .215 batting average for the Rockies as a unit against right-handed pitching. That's 29th in baseball. I like to see that number change in a hurry. Last year, they were one of the better teams in baseball against right-handed pitching. So same cast of characters. I also think it's early in the season, but those numbers have to improve. Just think about it this way, Drew. Last year, as a team, they hit 270 against right-handed pitchers. Same guys.
Yep. Water finds its level. This is popped up. Gomez has a long way to go, and they make the catch. Good start for the Rockies. They get a run against Chris Stratton in the top of the first. We'll see John Gray when we come back. We go to the bottom of the first inning. John Gray is facing the Giants for the 5th time in his career. Actually, the 4th time, I should say, in his career. He has a very good ERA against the Giants, 2.45. He has not produced a win yet. And on the season, this will be his 10th start. His last outing was strange. He gave up 10 hits, but he had good stuff because he struck out 10.
Yeah, but 8 of those 10 hits came against his fastball. Tells you he wasn't locating it extremely well, leaving it up out over the middle of the plate. The key for John Gray is being able to locate that fastball on both sides of the plate to set up his primary secondary pitch, which is his slider. And when you look at it, throwing it 32% of the time, but 44.1% of his strikeouts come on his slider.
Here's Gregor Blanco. He's leading off this afternoon, and that first pitch is above the strike zone, ball 1. CB Buckner's calling balls and strikes. Chris Conroy at first. Chris Siegel is at second. Brian O'Nora, crew chief, he's at third. That's a strike. That was a pitch, I want to say it abandoned him the other day, but his command of his fastball in large measure abandoned him in the outing against Milwaukee. Sliced foul. And I think with Tony back there, I'm sure a big part of the game plan, Spilly, is establish early fastball command. You got to have it.
You have to have it, and John Gray has pitched well the last 4 starts. You're looking 25 in the 3rd innings, 35 strikeouts. I think John thought he had a strikeout right there. 162 batting average in those 4 starts for lefties against John. The righties have been hitting 250 against him.
They go up again. And you can see just a smidgen north of the strike zone. So it's 3-2 on Blanco, all fastballs so far. Gregor Blanco, a veteran 4th outfielder. Strike 3 on the corner. And you can see it was all over that Subaru strike zone. This has been a continuing theme for the Giants, not just in this Rocky series, but going back, Sully, to the Cincinnati series. They just have not been happy with whoever's behind home plate.
No, and right there you see John Gray's fastball. It's a little bit up, but it is on the corner, maybe caught the black a little bit. That's right where you want to locate it. Nobody's going to try and do any damage against that. But you're right, Drew. The Giants have been very chirpy all series long, and that's usually what happens when things aren't going your way. You try and find little factors that affect the outcome of the game, whether they're right or wrong, and it just seems to avalanche from there and snowball.
Ball one on Andrew McCutcheon, and he fouls that one off. 1-1. McCutcheon's been held quiet so far by the Rockies, 0 for 9 in the series. The Giants overall have lost 3 consecutive games. The homestand started out nicely for them. They won their first 2 against the Reds. Lost the final game of that series. Now the first 2 against Colorado. Just off the plate at 96, 2-1. McCutcheon 1 for his last 20 at the plate. He had a 13-game hitting streak that was terminated a few days ago. He had a 4 strikeout game for just the 4th time in his career Thursday against the Rockies. Chad Bettis ate him up. 3-1.
We've talked to Bud Black about John Gray and just trying to pick up the target earlier. John likes to look down before he picks up the target.
On the ground to Nolan. Good pickup. 2 outs. Time to take a look at the Giants lineup this afternoon, presented by Southwest Airlines. The great Buster Posey will bat 3rd. And following Posey will be Brandon Belt. He was relegated to a pinch hitting assignment last night. He was frozen on a pitch on the corner. Evan Longoria, Brandon Crawford, Miguel Gomez will bat 7th. Gorkys Hernandez, who led off last night and hit a home run, in fact, will bat 8th. Buster takes strike 1. Posey hitting above 360 at home so far this year. And that's a good looking pitch also. 0-2. Very obviously, this is all about this first inning. Establish the heater. Tony wants it up and in. On the ground through the right side. I look at that as a better piece of hitting maybe than
Sure.
a mistake. This is a great hitter. Guys have trouble getting on top of a fastball in the mid-90s. Buster Posey typically does not. Defensive alignment for the Rockies. Tony Walters has almost become, I say, it's not a rule, but he's almost become the personal caddy for John Gray. And when he's behind the plate overall, the club's ERA is .359. Here's Brandon Belt. He's a home run in each of his last 4 starts. He takes ball 1. Belt's leading them in virtually every offensive category. He's battled a lot of injuries in his career. Rockies have 3 on the right side for Belt. That was the slider, and that disappeared right as he was about to make contact with the baseball.
You're talking about John's slider. I mean, I think that might have been more of a BP fastball and watching the grip, which is an unusual thing to see him throw. It had downward depth, but didn't have the spin of the slider.
2-2.
That one did. That one had a lot more proper rotation to the typical slider where you see the little red dot just based on the way the seams are spinning. We've mentioned this before. John has changed his grip and changed the pressure of his grip to be more on the index finger.
Going to go down and in with a slider here. 2-2. Good block. 3-2. Desmond letting John Gray know he's going to move behind Posey at first. SOP, standard operating procedure. 3-2 count. Left-handed bat in particular. That was interesting. Buster Posey was literally almost halfway to second. And then Desmond dove in late. Not quite halfway, but you get the picture. Two out in the bottom of the first. The Rockies up 1-0. Going to get over the head of Castro. Throw on its way to third will not get Buster Posey. Back-to-back singles with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Evan Longoria.
A super mode fastball that just catches the middle part of the plate. Brandon Belt's in a great spot. Everything he's hitting is finding a hole. Goes back to the 2-strike approach from Buster Posey. Fastball up that Tony Wolters asked for on an 0-2 pitch, and he shoots it opposite field. It's the veteran lineup of the Giants coming to play.
Longoria punches it foul. Crowd's excited, but it's fouled by about 12 feet. Longoria's barely hitting over 200 against righties, a little over 300 against lefties. Well, they didn't face any old lefty yesterday. Kyle Freeland, magnificent performance. And the hook's in there for a strike. 0-2. That is a foul ball. See, I love that 0-2 pitch. John's gotten in trouble a few times this year with 0-2 pitches that didn't resemble 0-2 type pitches.
Right, he wasn't, I don't want to say committing to him, but he wasn't trying to execute a good pitch that a hitter can't do any damage with. And it was set up by the 0-1 or the 0-1 curveball he threw there, because hitters know his primary pitch is that slider. 0-2, you finally see it at 91, and all you can do is take a defensive swing.
Another 0-2. John's had to throw a bunch of pitches this inning. 26 of them. He's popped up and out of play. Join in on the conversation this afternoon. Send us your statements, your questions, perhaps your photos as well. Use Twitter and include the hashtag Toyota Talk. Posey at third, a base hit on an 0-2 pitch. Belt, a base hit on a 3-2 pitch. And a strikeout of Longoria. John Gray works out of it. Took him 28 pitches. He dialed up 98 there. And we'll go to the second inning with the Rockies in front 1-0. Sportsnet is brought to you by the 2018 Toyota Tundra in your hometown Toyota stores and by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. I always like to skateboard down Lombard Street when I come out to San Francisco. Yeah.
There's a lot of cars in the way.
Well, if you're really good on a skateboard, you kind of navigate
Which
around
you are.
that.
Which you are.
Well, I'm like Tony Hawk. Ian Desmond, hitting star from last night to lead it off, and he fouls that first delivery from Chris Stratton over the Rockies dugout on the first base line. Average not much, but 7 home runs, 21 driven in. And the 21 RBIs, you look at the first baseman in the National League West, Brandon Belt has 25 RBIs, and then Desmond with 21. That's inside. I thought one of the neatest things about last night, and just gives you an idea how much his teammates respect and admire Ian Desmond. Man, that dugout erupted when he went deep. Not just because, hey, listen, it took the Rockies from a 1-0 deficit to a 3-1 advantage. You sensed there was more than that to their celebration.
You understand as a teammate the trials and tribulations that he's gone through early on in the season, and you feel for him, and you also feel for the success when all that hard work pays off.
2-2. Inside.
Desmond's not immune to the slow start. In 2014, started out through May 10th, 214, 4 homers. He only had 17 RBIs. He finished that season with 24 homers and 91 RBI.
3-2, ball 4. So the Rockies will have speed aboard with Desmond. Charlie led off the first with a base hit. He would eventually score, and that'll bring up Tony Walters. Tony will step out now and glance down at Stu Cole. Fans, when the Rockies score 7 or more, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Live Mas at Taco Bell. So the Rockies got 6 yesterday, and we spoke of how unusual that is to get 6 runs in a ball game at AT&T. It's the 30th time the Rockies have done that since this place was opened in '02, and they're 25-5 when that happens. Honestly, I thought it would be even more than that. I thought it would be like 28-2, that kind of thing. But still, 25-5, strong.
Yeah, anytime you score in over 4 runs, we talked about, and Dougie looked it up. This year in 2018, at night, averaging 8.5 runs per game total, and during the day, 11.2 to see the jump.
Yeah, you guys have said it. It's a different park during the day. Tony liked the thought process, but he fouled off the bunt, 1-1. Now, oftentimes, the third baseman, after there is a strike established on a guy that they suspect may utilize the bunt, they'll drop back further, thinking it's no longer in play. There's a select few players in the game that will bunt with 1 strike.
I really like to bunt with 1-1 counts because they started throwing changeups in that count, and it was a pitch I didn't want to hit.
Outside, 2-1. Really unusual to see a guy bunt with 2 strikes, but we've witnessed D. Gordon do that.
Does it all the time.
D now center fielder, second baseman for the Seattle Mariners. We'll see Gordon and the Mariners in a few weeks. Stratton's pretty average to the plate, but he does a nice job of varying his times to home plate. This is a big part of controlling the running game. Desmond takes off, and this is bounce to Belt, and it's not handled by Stratton, and Desmond will go from second to third. And now it's runners on the corners with nobody out on the miscue.
with Ian Desmond running, Brandon Bell takes one look towards second base, thinking he might have a chance. It may have prevented him from really setting his feet and getting the ball to Stratton in time. Desmond paying attention, keeping his eye on the baseball, easily gets the third.
That's Stratton's error, though. That ball's right there.
It's right there, but that extra second to look at second base, he could have spun around and given him a little more time to find the bag.
Big part of baseball is taking advantage when your opponent makes a mistake. Castro out of the 8th spot. And this is a perfect guy right now. I know, listen, is Daniel a middle of the order guy? Obviously he's not. He's hitting 171, but Sully, I think you know where I'm going with this. He gets the ball in play.
Yeah, he's only got 3 punch-outs on the season. He does a good job at making contact. You'd like to see him elevate that contact, obviously, to get the ball in the air. But the right side's got a big hole in it, and he puts the ball on the ground, he might find a knock.
1-0. And this will get the job done. Slowly hit up the middle. It'll turn into a double play, but the Rockies get a run. And that, given where he's hitting in the lineup, is not a bad thing.
No, anytime you're able to get production, RBIs, anything. I know it's not an RBI when it's a double play, but a run scored in that situation, it rolls over the lineup as well. It's what you want to see from a lengthening lineup.
So Castro bounces into the 4-3 double play. The key on that was that it cleared the pitcher. And Gray takes a strike. So the Rockies get a run in the first. We've got another run here in the second. Two and one. Chris Stratton's out of Mississippi State. Tupelo, Mississippi, his hometown. 2-2, 3-2. He and his wife just recently brought their second child into the world.
I like the story that he met his wife in high school during a basketball game. He was a scoreboard operator, met her as a freshman. He was a junior. Been together ever since.
Now, was he checking in to the game? The scorer's table?
Yeah,
hey, how you doing? Paying less attention to who he was supposed to cover on the floor.
Forgot which direction to make the possession arrow.
There's some lines there to be used, I'm sure. Three and two again, and John held up, and he walks. So Chris Stratton got the double play ball, brought in a run, obviously, and you think, okay, he's going to work out of any other mess, but he just walked John Gray. That will give an opportunity here in the second of Blackman. He had a base hit his first time up.
Well, we talked about Stratton, and over the last couple days, last couple starts for him, the walk has really crept into play.
He's been a different guy. He really has. The first few outings were pretty dominant for Stratton. Here it is visually, his first 5 starts. Actually, that's not what we were going to show you, but this is what Charlie has done on the road this year. 284 average, 20 of his 23 RBIs. Those numbers at home, you know, are going to change. Charlie hits this ball in the air to left, and Blanco will make the catch. In the inning, the Rockies get a run without the benefit of a hit. A couple of walks, there was an error. 2-0, they lead middle of 2.
different pitchers this season. We've either seen him be really good in his wins or struggle a lot in his losses. In his wins, a .33 ERA, which is the best in Major League Baseball, but then in his losses, a 9.72 ERA, which is the 5th worst in Major League Baseball. So today, I talked with Buddy Black about what it's going to take when Gray faces some adversity to not completely crumble.
That's something that we've talked a lot about with John, to really, minimize the damage, lessen the blow, bend but don't break, all those things that, really successful pitchers who pass the test of time, they get out of those jams. So with John, the key is, getting behind the mound, taking that deep breath, realizing that, he might be one pitch away from a double play ball. He might be, a couple pitches away from getting ahead and putting a guy away. So, again, it comes down to really, executing pitches.
And now I was talking to Tony Walters about executing his pitches, and he says John loves video games, so I tell him to just think about it like a video game. Go out there, execute your video game, and execute your pitches. Sounds pretty simple, right, Drew?
Yeah, if it was that simple, huh? Use the joystick. Move, take the joystick and take that slider just off the plate a little bit more.
The
right?
power up button. You got to power up, right?
1-0 on Brandon Crawford, and Crawford fouls that delivery off. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I liked RBI baseball back in the day because you could go joystick straight up and pull the Bugs Bunny changeup on people. I wish people could do that.
This is lifted to shallow left.
Uh-oh.
You see that one coming. It ended up in the Bermuda Triangle, and that was a catchable baseball. What happened there?
Could be sun. It could be nobody saw the ball off the bat. It could be the wind. Lack of communication. This ball popped up. It's in the air long enough. Parra got a bad read on it, and now it's just looking at each other.
Well, hopefully that doesn't do any harm.
That's going to hurt.
This is one of those situations, though, that Bud was talking about with adversity right here.
Gomez takes a strike. Miguel Gomez recently replaced Austin Slater on the roster. He came up from Richmond, their Double-A club. Joe Panic remains down. He's got a thumb. Well, he has 2 thumbs, but you know what I mean. One of them doesn't feel good. Could be 2. Nolan had to wait, and Castro's throw was off the mark. Well, the Rockies, neither are errors, but a pop fly that needs to be caught, not caught, and then a double play that ought to be turned was not.
He's just forcing John to throw more pitches.
And he threw a bunch, remember, in the first inning. He had to throw close to 30 in the first inning. The calling cards of the Rockies, one of the reasons they're 25-20, despite not having a great offensive start to this season, has been terrific pitching, great back-end pitching, things we discuss all the time, but that airtight defense.
Yeah, they have not, or they have done a great job of not giving extra outs to the opposing team. Unfortunately, this inning, I know they're not errors, that's why I think there should be a team error category, but given 2 free passes in essence.
Hernandez takes off the plate, 1-1.
Hernandez typically does not get starts against right-handed pitching. Last night, hitting a home run. It's the rule of the home run. And Austin Jackson having a tough night at the plate. Austin Jackson, the typical center fielder against righties.
And that that is down the line. Gomez is going to get a late stop sign on the double. With a dive back into the bag. Looked like Ron Wotus was going to send him initially.
You can see right there, four-seamer runs back in. They wanted it away. Hernandez pulls his hands in right down the left field line. Gerardo Parra does a great job getting to this ball off the wall and getting it back in quickly. He doesn't waste any time, gets it into Trevor Story, forcing him to hold him up at third base.
Well, you have Stratton, the pitcher, at the plate. And this is where Gray has to find a punch out in a perfect world. One strike on Stratton. Nolan, you walk in with Gomez to protect against a possible safety squeeze?
Sure. But most likely the squeeze is going to be pushed towards first.
Desi is just half a step off the grass, so he's wary of that possibility also. Now Tony's going to go out.
It's a good time to have that mound visit, just to let him know, hey, you can still look at the base runner at third base. You can keep an eye on him. You're not allowed to do that move towards third anymore. It's been taken out. Keep an eye on him. Third to first move. I missed that move.
I missed that move.
There's nobody on first, but it's all right.
And this is going to get a run home. Castro will get it out. Chris Stratton with his first RBI, and it's 2-1. And I think back to that double play that wasn't turned.
You just know that it's going to come back to bite you. It's been a sloppy inning defensively. You mentioned not turning the double play, but thinking back to the first hit of the inning, just miscommunication. Nice play by Castro to prevent a hit to Stratton.
First career RBI for Stratton. As you said, Spilly, it prevented a hit, and it prevented the game being tied, because if that gets past Castro, Hernandez is going to score easily. Blanco takes ball one. Blanco struck out looking on a 3-2 pitch in the first. First two games, the Rockies played 21 innings against the Giants. They limited them to 4 runs and 12 hits. That wind is really gusting. I mean, it's typical of San Francisco, though. It's typical of the two ballparks they've called home since they moved from New York. Candlestick Point, you think it's windy here, man. That place was a freezer, and the wind was always, you know, you're on the water. It's going to be howling most of the time. Good for catamarans, not always so good for baseball. 2-2. Swung on and missed. So the Giants get a run. The Rockies don't play the tightest defense they're accustomed to. 2-1 as Dahl will lead off next inning. Challenge question. Go to ATT Sportsnet RM on Twitter to cast your vote. During the postgame show, we'll let you know. Love the Seals. If you could only visit one attraction in San Francisco, would it be Alcatraz, Fisherman's Wharf, cable cars, or the Golden Gate Bridge? As Sully pointed out accurately earlier, you could probably knock a couple of those off at once. I mean, if you're going to Alcatraz, you're basically at Fisherman's Wharf.
That's right.
And maybe you took a cable car to get down there.
You could take all four out with one trip on a cable car to Fisherman's Wharf, go to Alcatraz, and then walk to the Golden Gate Bridge.
There you go. 0-1 on Dahl, and that's on one hop to second. David will be thrown out by Miguel Gomez. That'll bring up Nolan, who had a sharp single to left to drive in a run, his 24th ribby of the year. Time now for AT&T achieving more. Nolan's achieved a lot in the game so far. 849 hits. He just moved past Matt Holliday. 9th spot on the all-time Rockies hit list. DJ getting that swelling out of his hand, thumb area. Looks to be picking up a bat in a few days.
Well, you mean both hands. He still has a hand.
He's like
a bat in his hand.
Spilly, he's like Bam Bam on the Flintstones. He's always walking around with a bat in his hand.
You don't want to lose that feel, right? Feels good. You got to have it.
Spilly has another theory on that. What's your theory, Spilly? It's on the ground to short. 2 outs.
Well, it's preventing him from starting and having a new vice. I mean, when you're on the bench on the DL, number one, you become invisible to your teammates. And number two, you got nothing to do, so you just have to keep yourself occupied. You can't play video games.
He legitimately can't do anything. He can't get his heart rate up to get the swelling down, so he can't work out. Can't play catch because he can't catch the ball.
He can play throw.
Yeah, he can play throw.
Parra lined to short his first time. 2 outs outside. With the Rockies and Buddy continuing to try to find the right combination with his corner outfield spots. He's basically utilizing 4 guys for 2 spots. First time, other than for injury, that Cargo back-to-back ball games hasn't started. This ball's hit a long way to right center field by Parra, and it is going to be a double with 2 outs for Gerardo, which, you know, that's a perfect case. I know what you guys are going to say. That's a home run in virtually every other ballpark.
I've seen hits just on this road trip. In fact, guys on the Giants like Buster Posey hitting balls to this area, they get caught. I really did think right off the bat, and Corey, you mentioned the wind blowing out towards center field. It looked like it was held up.
Yeah, I think when we look at the right center field flags in Triples Alley over there, you can see they're cutting across the outfield. So as a left-handed hitter, if you hit it to the right of second base, you're going to be fighting traffic, and it's going to knock the ball down. I'm shocked that ball didn't land on the warning track at least.
That's right.
Yeah, it tells you
the grass.
It tells you the effect it had.
Here's Story. Rockies trying to get that run back with 2 outs. Trevor popped to second to end the first inning.
Well, going back to the point you were making about getting opportunities for the outfielders, we asked Bud about trying to get Cargo going and looking at opportunities for him to play. Gerardo's been swinging the bat well.
So Cargo out of the starting lineup 2 days in a row after having that big hit in the 12th inning. And you can only play 8 guys.
That's it.
Trevor seeing the baseball well. 2-0.
And you gotta love a 2-0 hitters count for Trevor, especially given the fact that he took a pretty good at bat last inning when he basically lined out 22 out RBIs for Trevor leads baseball.
2-0. Not throwing anything near the strike zone. 3-0. This is a green light situation for Trevor Story. Parr at second. Rockies up 2-1. Top of 3. We'll never know. 3-1.
You said same count, same pitch as 2-0 here. 3-1. Similar count. Spinning.
Possibly.
Got a fastball and it's popped up in foul ground. Belt is going to make the catch, and that'll end the possibility of the Rockies scoring with 2 outs. Parra left at second, middle of 3. Rockies 2, Giants 1. Here at AT&T Park, like that one in 2015, maybe the signature play of his grand defensive career so far. This one wasn't bad. Got tie block last year, and then this was last night. I don't know. There's just so many of them.
So many to choose from.
Of those 3, which do you guys like the best?
Tarp catch.
Tarp catch was amazing.
Just the foresight of knowing where it was while you make the play and firing a strike, and if Tulo had caught it, he would have doubled him up at third base.
Andrew McCutchen leading off in the 3rd. Ground ball to 3rd, his first time, and he takes a strike. John needs a quick inning, and he's in the heart of their lineup. Giants scratched out a run last inning. John has thrown 44 pitches through 2, and now 1 here in the 3rd. And that fastball's out of the zone. Well, you go back to the start of 2009, you say, well, who's had the most hits in the National League since the start of 2009? It's the guy at the plate, and it's another one right there. First hit of the series for McCutchen, he was 0 for 10. He's 1 for his previous 21 at the plate. That'll bring up Buster Posey. He has a single. 5 hits for the Giants. McCutchen has the most hits in the National League since the start of 2009. He's 54 in front of Joey Votto. Brandon Phillips, who's not playing right now, is 3rd on the list, and Ryan Braun and Matt Kemp, the resurgent Matt Kemp, who we'll see on Monday. Been the offensive leader by and large for the Dodgers so far. Inside, ball 1.
Dodgers playing a doubleheader today in Washington.
They finally getting some baseball in DC.
Yeah, they are. They're leading in the bottom of the ninth, 4-1. Second game, they'll face Mad Max Scherzer.
I'm sure inside Dave Roberts was feeling we better get that first one. .0 on Posey. McCutchen, not the base stealer he was. Still runs better than average, though.
Yeah, don't sleep on him. Gotta stay paying attention.
And this is lobbed in the shallow right. This will drop. McCutchen will stop at second. And so much for having a quick inning. 2 on, nobody out. You keep looking at the fastball average. The fact that, John throws hard, but the lead coming in hitting .323 against his fastball. And of the 6 hits, I believe 5 at least are off the fastball today.
It just goes to show you that especially veteran hitters like the Giants lineup, they know about his secondary pitches. They know when he likes to throw them, and they're going to go up there, and they're not going to overswing against his fastball. You look at Posey's hit, and you look at Andrew McCutchen's hit. They're just taking what they're given. They're not trying to overswing on the fastball. They're not trying to match power with power. They're just taking the knocks.
They had 2 hits in the first, they had 2 hits in the second, and they have 2 hits here in the third with Belt at the plate. First pitch strike. Belt, his last 8 games, hitting .433 with 4 home runs. So this is the guy the Giants want up, probably not the guy the Rockies would like to see right now.
Two good pitches. Curveball for John Gray. Threw him the first pitch slider on the back door to a lefty, so it was away from him. And then a nice slow curveball. That's a pitch that John needs to trust. Belt will hit the ball opposite field. We've seen him shorten up. He will not overswing with 2 strikes.
One and 2. Giants have not hit well with runners in scoring position last 13 games beneath 200. Gray kind of keep it that way. 2 and 2.
And John on the season, hitters with runners in scoring position are only hitting 200 against John. So he's done a good job at limiting the damage. I know he had trouble finishing innings early on in the season, but he's done a good job at controlling it overall.
And he got ahead 0-2, and now he's in a 3-2 count. You sound like a broken record. We did this in New York with the Mets. When you get, as you guys were alluding to, these veteran hitters, they don't expand their zone.
There's no reason to.
They typically don't. Three-two. And now they're loaded up for Evan Longoria. He went from 0-2 to ball 4.
That's the time as pitchers they give hitters too much credit, or they try to be too fine with the pitch. You can still be aggressive in the strike zone, just not middle. You can be down in the strike zone. You can be, doesn't always have to be on the edges.
Just trying to be too fine. When you get someone like Brandon Belt who's hitting 433 over the last bit, and you got him 0-2, you're in a position of power, even as hot as he is. And just the 4 pitches after that weren't close enough to even warrant, you know, him making a passive approach at it.
Steve Foster has exited the conference. Walters continuing on. C.B. Buckner saying, all right, fellas, let's get going.
That bullpen starting to make their way out to the Rockies bullpen. Looks like Chris Russell's starting to warm up, just in case.
Which tells you something, because the Rockies are leading 2-1. It's the 3rd inning. Clearly, Buddy Black does not like what he sees. Longoria struck out his first time, and this is fairly shallow and left. Parra will get behind it, and he will throw it and hold McCutchen at 3rd. Respect for the great arm of Gerardo Parra. 1 out, and now your ground ball from maybe getting out of it.
Those were Bud's exact words right there. Sometimes you just have to realize that regardless of what you did to get in this position, you're 1 pitch away from being out of the inning.
Notice that Gerardo was battling the sun. It could explain why Brandon Crawford had a hit in the 2nd inning, the one that landed.
Two hottest hitters in the Giants lineup. Belt we spoke of, and this guy, Brandon Crawford.
Crawford loves to first pitch swing.
Tony aware of that. So they spin one. It's a little bit low, 1-0. Out of Pleasanton, California, in the neighborhood. Went down to UCLA and played his college baseball. And for his hometown team. Here's the 1-0 on Crawford, and that is line to left, fair ball. That's going to give the Giants the lead. Posey follows McCutchen home. Belt to 3rd. On the double by Crawford, it is 3-2 San Francisco.
Well, for the Giants, this entire inning, they have taken John Gray's fastball and hit it opposite field. They have shortened up their swing and taken the type of approach that is played well here at AT&T Ballpark. Put the ball in play, shorten up, force contact.
And speaking of shortening up, the Rockies will pull the infield in. Miguel Gomez at the plate. And that is bounced foul. Another example that it does not matter how hard you throw, especially to today's big leaguers who are so used to velocity. John's fastball averages better than 95 miles an hour. It's he's one of the 10 hardest throwing starting pitchers in baseball, but guess what? The league's hitting better than 320 against his heater. About location. Location and movement. There's a base hit. That's going to get another run home. Crawford around 3rd will now get a stop sign and throw a little bit offline from Dahl, but Crawford stopped. It is 4-2. And Chris Russell's now starting to pick up the pace in that Rockies bullpen. 4 hits in the inning. Yorkie's Hernandez coming up. He doubled last inning. Giants 4 runs against John in 2 1/3. They had 4 runs in 21 innings in the first 2 ball games of this series. Strike one. Hernandez didn't like that call. Two strikes. That was a clear case, fellas, of Hernandez still being affected by his displeasure at the first pitch being called a strike. That was a non-competitive swing and focus on that second delivery from Gray.
And I'm assuming he was anticipating another fastball in, and he was selling out, trying to cheat to get to that pitch.
First and third, 1 out, 3 runs in. Giants up 4-2. That's foul. You know, go back to last inning. We always say this when it applies to the Rockies, but the Giants carved out a run. Chris Stratton goes out there, and you know, next door our good friends Dwayne Kuiper, Mike Krukow probably saying, hey, you know, have a quick inning, get back on offense. One of those types of situations. Well, Stratton did. The Giants got back on offense, and they've had a real productive inning. Strikeout of Hernandez is the second out, and that'll bring up Stratton, the pitcher. Rockies had all the momentum early. They got a run in the first, they got a run in the second to take a 2-0 lead. That's down low. That strikeout was a milestone for John, 400th of his career. And he's the fastest to produce 400. Right now he could care less about that. He needs to get Chris Stratton.
Corey, why do you think big league hitters are hitting over 330 against the fastball?
Well, I think even if you look at it right there, the pitch to Chris Stratton, that's a fastball in a 1-0 count that is elevated. And when you're going to do that against big league hitters, they're going to jump on it. It's not elevated in a place where you can't hit it. And if you've got a good approach, you're going to put it in play. I mean, that pitch is right in the middle of the strike zone, just up in the zone.
This is a ground ball to Castro. That'll end the inning, but the Giants scored 3 times on 4 hits. They also were aided by a walk. 4-2 San Francisco. Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Do they tell you they're going to do that before you get pay for your ticket?
I think that's one of the speed ones. So yeah,
Uncle on that one. That would
the
not.
rocket boat.
Yeah,
No, thank you.
I'm out on that. See, I'll go on the lovely Martha. You guys want to go for a late afternoon cruise? I'm going on the lovely Martha.
Go on a 3-hour cruise, Drew. That'd be great.
Would you be the professor or?
I'm the
what
skipper.
character?
I'm the skipper.
You'd be the skipper, really?
Yeah.
I think you're Gilligan, quite frankly.
He absolutely is Gilligan. And you've already said you don't like water.
Yeah, the skipper is a good character.
You are a character. Sully's obviously Thurston Howell.
I love it. That made me laugh. Well done.
Ian Desmond walked and scored in the second. He'll lead it off here, 6, 7, 8 for the Rockies in the fourth, trying to counterpunch against Chris Stratton. And it's not like Stratton has been real sharp.
This is the perfect guy for the Rockies to respond to.
And a base hit. Just over the outstretched glove of Brandon Crawford. Well, it figures that Desi has come alive here at AT&T Park, where most hitters loathe coming. And the reason I say that is Ian Desmond in his career has hit .344 before that hit at AT&T Park among active players. That's the highest batting average that anyone has at AT&T Park. How about that?
You say 244?
That's what most people feel,
know,
right?
yeah.
You hit 244, you feel like you're on top of the world. You feel like you're the late Tony Gwynn. But no, he's hit 344 here.
I think it goes to that energy again. The fan involvement, playing on a big stage.
Tony's due, and the reason I say that is this is somewhat amazing, but Tony right now has one road hit this year. It was a home run, but he's one hit away from Coors Field. 1 for 35. That was that home run he hit at Citi Field. You know who else has hit at AT&T Park, not available today? The guy we were talking about last inning, DJ. 338 lifetime average in San Francisco. 2-0 going is Desmond. He'll have another stolen base. He's 8 out of 8. That's a big bag. 3-0, by the way, now on Walters.
Stratton's a little slow to the plate, high leg kick, and you see it. As soon as his leg goes up, you take a shot. Now for Buster Posey, he got a pitch down and away. But pay attention, he doesn't get a good exchange and just has to eat it. Ball's in the dirt.
Get a take here from Tony, 3-1. Castro on deck. Three and 2 on Walters.
Worst case scenario for Tony's at bat as a hitter. The worst thing at the end of the result is that Ian Desmond needs to be at third base.
You have to find a way to move him up here. Obviously, you're down 2. You want to get a knock. But you got to get Ian over.
That's going to sneak through. Good read by Desmond. He'll stop at third. And it's first and third, nobody out. Tony Walters finding a little seam on that left side. Pretty good pitcher's pitch by Stratton. Real good pitch.
Yeah, ran off the outside part of the plate. Tony, in essence, took a little 9-1-1 hack, but finds the hole right there to the right of Brandon Crawford. That's a great piece of hitting on a very tough pitch to hit.
Let's put the ball in play, get a good result. Go back to the first inning. Charlie Blackmon, 2 strikes. punches the ball in play, gets on with the leadoff single that doesn't even leave the infield.
And Buddy's thinking offense. Castro's batting 8th, and on deck's not John Gray. It is Little Pony. Play that card early in the ball game. Castro grounded into a double play, but by getting it in play in the second inning, with runners at first and third, Desmond was able to score the Rockies' second run. Down by a couple of runs here. He'd like to get that ball in the air.
Corey and I like push bunt.
Take it right at the second baseman.
Yeah, right at Gomez. That just missed. Tony bluffed going. And it's 1-1.
You get a fastball that rides up and in. A lot of hitters, when Tony bluffs like that, like to see if the infielders are moving and if a hole opens up. And I think you could see Castro trying to keep his head down if there was any way for him to drive that ball to the right side and pick up an RBI and a knock.
One of the tools Tony had when he was drafted in the 3rd round, coming out of high school in San Diego. Slick fielder, swung the bat well, but Tony ran well also. Legs get beat up a little bit catching every day. 1-1, and this is a double play ball. I would think Buddy will pull back cargo now. And John Gray will march out of the dugout. The Rockies get a run. It's 4-3. It's twice now. You don't see that much. Twice now that Castro's hit into a double play, producing a run each time. Chris Russin had continued to throw. He's walking in from the bullpen. Chris may very well go into the ball game. We'll see. Giants have turned 2 double plays this afternoon. The Rockies turned 2 yesterday. They were always among the league leaders in turning double plays. Right now the Giants in the early going, leading with 53 twin killings. 1-2 on Gray. John walked his first time up, and down to strike 3. So the Rockies have scored single runs in the 1st, 2nd, and 4th. They trail 4-3 as we go to the bottom of the 4th. AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Gorgeous day in San Francisco. We've seen that guy before with his pooch. He lives around McCovey Cove when the ball game starts.
Does that dog jump in the water to get the baseball?
If necessary. With Ryan Spilborghs, Corey Sullivan, and Taylor McGregor, I'm Drew Goodman. Top of the order in the bottom of the 4th inning for San Francisco. Gregor Blanco, Andrew McCutchen, Buster Posey. 3 runs in the 3rd to take the lead for the Giants. Rockies got a run back in the top of the 4th, 4-3. Blanco, a career .296 hitter against the Rockies. And John Gray remains out there, and his curveball misses ball 1. This will be a short leash. I think any sign of trouble, and Buddy will bring in Chris Russin, who's kind of standing in that bullpen. Here's the 1-1. That's a strike, 1 and 2.
Laughing at the reaction of Blanco showing a 1-1 attempt for a bunt. If you're going to show it, might as well put it down.
Put yourself in a hole if you don't.
It's not like it's off the plate.
Blanco pulls it past Ian Desmond, and it's down in that bullpen area. And it hit, I think, the bag, and Blanco's going to end up at 3rd. Well, that turned into a mess. That is in play, if you're wondering. Watch here, see if ball was hit hard, kicked off at Desmond down in that bullpen area. That has been the subject of conversation. They're scoring it a triple in San Francisco of late because of the mounds. It's dangerous for the corner outfielders. Mac Williamson a couple of weeks ago, Bryce Harper at the plate, and he tripped on the mound. And yeah, it's padded there, and you can see Harper's reaction. Williamson suffered a concussion. This is in the air to shallow right. Dahl coming on. He's got to call off Castro, and he will. 1 out. So McCutchen retired. Posey will come up. He just started a rehab last night. In fact, he hit a home run last night for Sacramento. And the Giants were asked, Larry Baer, their president, if they would consider moving those bullpens out of the playing area. There's only 3 fields left where the bullpens can come into play. Across the bay in Oakland at the Coliseum and down in Tampa. And Larry Baer said, we have nowhere we can put them. So they will remain. Ball 1 on Posey, who is 2 for 2.
They can be creative. In Japan, they will put pitching mounds underneath. There's tunnels that there's area below the field that you can have. It's just the field for the bullpen is totally different. It's much like it is in Chicago.
When you played, Corey, you were in center typically, but you played on some corners, Spilly. Playing here, did that give you pause?
Of course. There's a lot of balls that go right into that corner where you have to run over the mound. You have to work on it.
2-0 on Posey.
It's not your typical mound either. Mounds are usually slow, arcing, circular type things. Out there, there are sharp edges on the back and on the side that you're not used to. And it doesn't feel like normal dirt either. It feels very firm.
Two-one. And right to short. Story comes up with it. That's a great play by Trevor Story. Now they're 2 outs. And Buddy Black, with Belt coming up, is going to go bring in Russin. Watch this play again by Trevor.
Absolutely fantastic on the Subaru Supermo. Ranging to his left, looking back Blanco at third base, and he gave him an extra look because sometimes a base runner will give a quick jab step and then take off. Trevor held him to it.
Chris Russin aboard when we come. Gregor Blanco's at third base. Brandon Belt's coming up, and Chris Russin will face him, replacing John Gray, who goes just 3 2/3. Another tough outing for John. And this ball is in the air to shallow center. It's going to drop, and a 5th run will come around. And to close the book on Gray, 3 2/3, 5 runs, 9 hits, a walk, and 4 strikeouts.
Everything going for Brandon Belt. Ball off the end of the bat. A little bit up in the zone, so he's able to get the ball in play.
There's a strike on Longoria. So John's last 2 outings, after being brilliant for 3 straight starts, 9 innings, 11 runs, 19 hits. And for a starting pitcher, when you have a rough outing, man, it is a long wait till you get the baseball again. So I'll have to wait till next weekend when the Rockies take on the Reds at Coors Field. 3-0 on Longoria. Gray's ERA 2-1. Let me correct that. I had the scoreboard wrong. John's ERA has jumped to 5.34. Yeah, Buddy's talked about it lately, that the best version of the Rockies will include, Chris Russin doing what he's done the last couple of years. Off to an uneven start right now. He's given up runs in each of his last 4 outings. Six innings in May, he's allowed 6 runs. Giving up runs in 8 out of 12 outings this year. Very unlike Chris. Here's the 3-2. And it's on the ground, deep in the hole. Story plants, throws. Not going to be able to get Longoria.
Giants just keep finding holes today in the Rockies defense. Trevor doing his best to backhand, make a strong throw. It is way too far away for Trevor to get Longoria.
Brandon Crawford, single and a 2-run double. 11 hits for the Giants. Center field, Charlie will move back and make the play. A 5th run for the Giants in the 4th inning. They'll take a 5-3 lead to the 5th at AT&T. Place. If you're going to go in the water, you better put a wetsuit on. It's been an interesting game so far. In the afternoon, typically more offense, and we've seen that. The Rockies have scored in 3 out of 4 innings against Chris Stratton, and the Giants scored in 3 out of 4 innings against John Gray, and now Chris Russin. Top of the order for the Rockies in the 5th. Charlie, a base hit in 2 trips. Scored a run back in the 1st. Shift on. Ball 1. Third time through for the Rockies. Stratton does not have a clean inning yet. Rockies have 5 hits to produce their 3 runs. 5 runs, 11 hits for the Giants. This ball sharply hit, and it's going to get through. That's hard to do when you have 3 on the right side. Charlie with his 2nd knock And the Rockies have the leadoff man on for the 4th time in 5 innings. So
get on-demand access to the rooftop with the Rooftop Ballpark Pass. Choose the days and redeem your pass from your phone. Go to Rockies.com/pass for more information.
here's David Dahl. He's due. He's 0 for 11 so far on this trip that began in San Diego.
He's been hitting the ball hard. He just has not found any holes. Charlie finds a hole. Brandon Belt's been finding space all over the place.
David got the start yesterday against the lefty Derek Holland. He had produced 3 straight hits against lefties after scuffling a bit left on left since his call up. Put the ball in play last night a few times. In fact, all 4 times. Get a base hit. David, an Alabama kid. Asked him the other day, where were you to go to college? He signed his national letter of intent to Auburn. I said, not Alabama, huh? He said, no. In that state, it's one or the other. We're an Auburn family. This is near the line. It'll be handled out there by McCutcheon. Got that off the end of the bat. 1 out. And here comes Nolan. The 2 lefties for the Giants in their bullpen. Will Smith and Tony Watson. This is Smith. Nolan an RBI single in the 1st. Also a ground ball to short. Nolan 2nd in the National League in OPS coming into play today. Chris Bryant #1, then Nolan. With Tommy Pham become a star, hasn't he?
He really has.
This ball is lined to shallow left, and making the catch out there is Blanco.
Now watching Gerardo Parra for the last 4 innings, watching Blanco as well. It seems like the left fielders are having a little trouble, A, with the wind, B, with the sun, because this was a normal fly ball, obviously hit a little lower angle. He had trouble picking it up. He got a bad jump as well, forced to leave his feet to make the catch.
Parra with 2 outs. Gerardo a line drive to short and a double to deep right center field. A ball that would have been out of virtually every other ballpark in baseball. Stratton thinking now with 2 outs that Charlie may take off. One of the things when you try to run on Buster Posey, we talk about pop times and arm strength, all that sort of thing. And big part of the equation is the pitcher, how quickly he gets the ball to the plate. But Buster's really accurate. And that's something we don't discuss much. There are catchers who have hoses back there, but sometimes they spray the ball all, the shortstop side of the bag, throw 2 seamers down there. This guy who pitched some in college is really accurate. Not a lot he doesn't do exceptionally well.
Calls a great game behind the plate, and we always point out how important it is to understand pitch sequences or remembering patterns. I think what makes Buster so great is he thinks like a great hitter. Not all catchers are great hitters. So I think he has an advantage over people too, is his brain thinks of sequences and what would get himself out.
And sometimes that gets catchers in trouble, though. Guys throw pitches that'll get them out, and they may be a lifetime 225 hitter. And
that's why I said
yeah.
this guy's won a batting title. So
Sure.
he has a better understanding of.
Think how hard that is. Win a batting title as a catcher, not getting leg hits, and doing
here.
it here. Yeah. 1 and 2. It's kind of like that year Chase Headley had when he led the National League in RBIs, playing half his games at Petco. Well, the converse being the year Ubaldo Jimenez had when he was 15-1 at the All-Star break, pitching half his games at Coors Field. And this gets redirected into the outfield. What a break for the Rockies, off the glove of Belt. Blackman to third. That was going to end the inning.
Sometimes you're living right, Spilly?
It'll go as a hit for Parra, and it allows Story to hit here in the 5th.
With that lucky rabbit's foot. Still make those. Belt off to his right, giving great effort to it. Would have gone straight to the second baseman, Gomez.
And he would have fed Stratton covering first, end of inning. Instead, Story has a chance. Have the Rockies grab a run
into
here.
one.
We got a pitch out over the plate.
Well, the 2 at-bats, previous at-bats to Trevor Story, Stratton has exposed Trevor up and in. 2 weak flyouts.
Let's get the feeling this thing's long from decided. There's some days where you look up at the number and you say, that's not a winning number. I don't think 5's a winning number. Base hit the other way. Rockies will have their 4th run. They take advantage. Parra trying to go first to third. McCutcheon's throw does not get him. Great slide by Parra, because that throw looked like it beat Gerardo. Blackman scores. Story has his 33rd RBI.
For Trevor, getting a fastball elevated. Spilly talked about they were trying to work him in. He fights his hands inside, doesn't try and overswing, gets himself a knock. Andrew McCutcheon does a great job fielding that ball and getting rid of it quickly. Parra's slide to try and avoid the tag. Looks like Longoria might have got him on the right shoulder there. Tough to tell from that angle.
And Brian Ornora is standing in the perfect spot to see it.
Well, in that situation, the Rockies all season have been very aggressive on the base paths, and more often than not, it pays off. There's that old line, you don't want to make the 1st or 3rd out at third. It looks like he got tagged there, but again, he was called safe. There has to be a clear evidence.
Now, you don't want to run yourself out of the inning when you have a pitcher like Stratton on the ropes. Most likely that was his last batter. The other aspect, too, as a base runner, you have to think, what's the benefit of taking the extra base in that situation?
Now, if there's 1 out, then a fly ball ties up the game, that sort of thing. That's always so easy to sit up here in Monday morning quarterback.
No, but this is what goes on in the dugout, the discussion. Guys on the bench, hey, is that the right play? Should you be running first to third on a sharply hit ball to a right fielder with 2 outs with the guy on the rope? The answer should be probably not, unless you know something about the right fielder. Is his arm hurt? Was there a discussion with the team meeting prior to the start when you're going over the scouting reports? Hey, we're going to run on McCutcheon. We heard there's something with his arm. He's having arm troubles. He's not throwing correctly.
Well, we'll get the decision from New York. Out. So that'll get the Giants off the field, and it will eliminate the possibility of Ian Desmond swinging the bat here. So Parr is thrown out by McCutchen. The Rockies get the run, 5-4.
Lineup that the Giants have here. A lot of experience you see. So we crunched some numbers, and the Giants' average age, 31 years, 28 days. That ranks them second overall in Major League Baseball, first in the National League. The Rockies sit at 14th in Major League Baseball, average age 28 years, 236 days. Now, I was talking to Buddy Black about the pros and cons of having an older lineup when it comes to position players, and he says, well, of course you have quality at bats. That's what we've seen out of the Giants today. He said it can be a con when you're managing stars who aren't in their prime anymore, yet they still think they're stars, and you disagree on some stuff. That's what he said has been the problem with him. Now, I asked him who the oldest guy he's ever managed. It was not a position player. It was actually Greg Maddux down in San Diego. It was when Buddy was first managing. Maddux was on the back end of his career. And he said it was just weird. And there's a single there. He's going to stop at first, so Gomez collects a single. But he said it was just weird with Maddux because he was 50. Maddux was late in his early 40s. And he said you kind of felt like you were the same age at some point. So, guys, what do you think about all this?
Sully?
Well, I think it's got to be an interesting perspective when you're only 8 or 9 years older from Mad Dog out there. Mad Dog's seen a lot of things out on the mound. And I got to imagine when you're a manager has been on the pitching side of the game and you've got some veteran position players, you got to like it because you're used to facing guys like that give tough at bats, and I'm sure for Bud, he enjoys seeing his team be able to do that.
Hernandez unloads to deep right center field. Dahl got a good jump. He'll make the catch. And Gorky's Hernandez is retired. Chris Stratton was on deck. He's marching back toward the dugout. His day will be done. And Bruce Bochy will call on Austin Jackson to pinch hit.
I always think the most important thing with any group of guys, regardless of the age, is line of communication. Tell me straight up. Don't sugarcoat it. If I'm old, I'm old. If I'm not good, I'm not good. Just tell me.
Rockies were hoping to keep Chris Stratton in the game. That's why that base running decision by Parra was costly. As Desmond all of a sudden swinging the bat well. He would have been first and second, 2 outs, a chance to tie it up. And the Rockies have had kind of Stratton on the precipice of disaster throughout the afternoon. They'll have to work on the bullpen. It'll be Will Smith first out of that pen for San Francisco next half inning. 1-0 on Jackson, pinch hitting.
For me, watching Chris Russell, you can tell location is not there for him. He's not been pinpoint yet. Even the last pitch, it was missed middle.
One and two.
Again, mislocation on the Subaru strike zone. Up middle.
For a guy who relies on a lot of late movement and a lot of soft contact, when you're missing in those middle squares on that Subaru strike zone, those are where hitters typically do some damage. You got to find a way to get the ball down in the zone.
And he was in a good place right before he pulled his oblique, so it could be a mechanical flaw. Maybe rushing through the mechanics a bit, maybe not in the legs quite as much. Center cut, got away with another one. You can see it as a pitcher, you can see it as a hitter when mechanics are just not allowing you to throw strikes or to get your bat path through the zone.
It's such a fine margin for a pitcher.
It's like a half an inch
Yeah,
with the release point.
There was a discussion in the dugout with Buddy today. A reporter asked a question that's somewhat related to Ohtani. That quick pitch misses because Ohtani's this rare individual who is talented enough to swing the bat at the major league level effectively and be a starting pitcher at the major league level. And the question posed was, do you think this will be a trend to Buddy? And he absolutely kind of refuted it out of hand. He said it's like Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders. How often do guys like that who can play two sports at a high level come around? This is lobbed to shallow left. It's off the bag. That was a great play by Story just to make it close. Castro was trying to get the force at second. So it'll be a base hit for Austin Jackson, a Texas leaguer. Now they're 2 on with 1 out for Gregor Blanco.
We talked about the sun being an issue today for the left fielders. It's an issue for Trevor at shortstop. And talk about athleticism, trying to make that play.
Rockies are going to take a look at this inside with Brian Jones. Let's watch his foot.
Oh, it's off.
Yeah, no, it is off. That's a great angle of it. The other angle, it looks like he was on there. No, Castro was off. That's a real good call at second base by Chris Siegel. Blanco, a triple his last time up. Also 2 strikeouts. Finish that thought here after this pitch. That's strike 1. So Buddy pointed out, how rare it is to have, a guy like Bo Jackson, how Ohtani's rare. And I just think sometimes people forget how, in a blowout, you'll see a pitcher. Sandoval came in, had a 1-2-3 inning. Pablo, earlier this year, the Giants were getting blown out. And we see this occasionally, a position player
throwing 88 miles an hour. You look good. And has a shirt that says pitch Pablo.
I understand that, and I know you're having fun with it. And yes, he's better suited to pitch than 99.999% of the rest of the population. But still, if he's going to go out there for multiple innings or multiple appearances, he would get killed by you guys. He's not trained to be a pitcher, and I just think it almost disrespects these guys like Chris Russin who work on their craft day after day, just like hitters work on their craft day after day. Just because a guy can get a couple of outs does not mean they can go out even if they pitched at the collegiate level. Charlie Blackmon pitched at the collegiate level. I think Charlie probably be the first to tell you, yeah, if I came out here and tried to pitch right now, filling in occasionally, I would get beat up. Ohtani's an unusual cat. 0-2. And we'll see how it works out long term. If he's able to, keep the pitching mechanics and stay sharp there while offensively being able to stay sharp.
I do think it's possible for starters. I think you saw it with McKay, the first rounder for Louisville.
Yep.
I think you are going to see a few more, but it is such a unique skill set to be able to do both.
Swung on and missed. Russin gets the strikeout for out number 2. Blanco's gone, and that'll bring up McCutchen with 2 on.
I don't think you're going to see guys that do both as a reliever like a Brooks Kieschnick. I remember Bobby Kilty tried to do that. He said, I've been the 26th man on so many different teams because they chose to keep an extra reliever. Bobby threw hard, and he said, I'm going to try and adapt and be that 25th guy. And it didn't work out necessarily. I don't think you'll see relievers in that situation, but I do think you may see 1 or 2 more starters that can go both ways.
Corey, I'm going to defer to you on this one because you were a really good pitcher in the ACC at Wake Forest, and obviously you were drafted as a position player as an outfielder. Some people may have forgotten. You also, because of the pitching exploits, had Tommy John surgery in your professional career. But in college, you're playing maybe 1 game during the week, and then you play 3 or 4 on the weekend. How much did it compromise you collegiately?
Honestly, it was the worst mistake was having me be our Friday starter because I went and played center field Saturday and Sunday, and I could barely hit the cutoff man after throwing 120 pitches on Friday. It was not smart. It's what led to my Tommy John surgery. But would I change it? Absolutely not.
No, it's a great experience for you collegiately, but now fast forward where you're playing every day in professional baseball.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible. You have to be in a situation like Ohtani where you're an American League guy where you can take a day off and then DH. I do not think you can go out and play a position. You're compromising your teammates is what you're doing because you're not at 100% out there. And unless your 80% is significantly better than somebody else's 100%, I just think you're putting yourself physically at risk as well.
2 strikes on McCutchen. And that's left up, and Russin will pay. That's going to go to the wall. 1 run is scored. Jackson's going to get a green light. He'll score. A 2-run double by Andrew McCutchen on an 0-2 pitch. And we go back to something Spilly was pointing out a few minutes ago. Too many pitches in the center of the strike zone, especially being ahead 0-2.
The Supermo, it looks like a cutter trying to get in on McCutchen, and it's out and up. Austin Jackson, who runs really well, is able to score as soon as Gerardo Parra kicks it, trying to pick up the baseball and left.
Posey's 2 for 3. The one time the Rockies got him out. Trevor Story made a great diving play with the infield end to stab a ground ball, prevent a run. (7-4) San Francisco. They've scored in every inning but the first.
The Rockies have lost momentum since the out to end the inning. The base running by Parra, lose some momentum, give it right back to the Giants.
Well, forgive me for stating the obvious. Go back to something Buddy Black was talking about. They need to get Chris Russin straightened out. He was such a vital member of that bullpen last year, filling so many different roles, but he's now given up runs in 9 of his 13 appearances. 3-0 on Posey. That's in there, 3-1. Last year, it didn't matter what inning you asked him to pitch in, what situation you asked him to pitch in. Chris was lights out. Ball 4. So Posey will go to first. Somewhat of a pitch around there with the left-handed hitting Belt coming up.
I I think part of the reason for Russ's struggles too, he has the injury. The Rockies starters have been very efficient, and so there hasn't been a lot of opportunities for Chris. Last time he pitched prior to today was in San Diego on the 15th. He's just not getting into the rhythm, and he needs to get in the rhythm to find those mechanics. Because you can see, I mean, super strike zone, the last at bat for Buster Posey was sprayed all over the place. The first pitch could have easily gone his way. It's not, because you're not going to be rewarded when you're not around the strike zone.
24 hitters have come up for the Giants. 13 have reached.
Got one to go his way.
Actually, let me correct that. 16 have reached. And I said 20, I messed up the number. Actually, 16 out of 30 have reached. 2-1. Two on the belt.
My favorite thing in San Francisco are the golden gloves.
Ball dudes.
The ball dudes. The ball was about 8 feet from him, and it took him 2 minutes to get that baseball.
Two and two on Belt. 2 for 2 and a walk. And now it's full. McCutcheon will be moving off second. Posey will be moving at first. Brooks Pounders is now marching down to the Rockies bullpen. Got him. 2 runs in the inning for the Giants. They have a 7-4 lead as we embark on the 6th inning at AT&T. AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Rockies trailing 7-4, 14 hits for the Giants. But the Rockies still have 12 outs to work with. Ian Desmond will face Will Smith out of the Giants' pen here to begin the 6th inning. Desi, a walk and a run scored, and then a sharp single, a stolen base, and a run scored. Sully, we were talking during not this last break, but 2 breaks ago, and he said, you know, the Rockies have not played a very good baseball game, yet they still have an opportunity to win this thing.
Yeah, and those are the kind of games that great teams win. Even the ones they don't deserve, whether you make mistakes on defense or base running.
Longoria, easy play, 1 out.
You're not going to win every one of them, but when you can scratch out 3 throughout the year, that's taking advantage of not playing great baseball.
Second time the Rockies have seen Will Smith in this series. Walters reached on an error and also a base hit through the left side. Gomez, 2 outs. Chris Stratton went 5 innings, 4 runs, 3 earned, 8 hits, a couple of walks, and a strikeout. But he's on the winning side of the ledger right now. Castro has hit into 2 double plays. They both ended up producing runs. It's the 5th game, middle game of a 9-game road trip for Colorado. Tomorrow afternoon here in San Francisco, then it's on to Los Angeles, see the Dodgers for the first time. And with the lopsided schedule and the peculiar fact that the Rockies came to San Francisco in mid-May, having not seen the Giants or the Dodgers yet, literally almost a third of the remaining schedule for the Rockies, they will be playing either the Giants or the Dodgers. And we know how important it is to play well inside your own division if you hope to go to the postseason. 2-0s in there, 2-1. 2 of the best seasons for the Rockies inside the division all time were in years where the Rockies ended up going to the playoffs. With the unbalanced schedule, it's virtually impossible to be a poor team in your division and still find a way to the postseason.
I feel like the division is wide open 2018. The Rockies are in a prime spot to take advantage of a Dodgers team that's weaker than we've seen in the last 5 years.
We were talking about it last night. I mean, you got 3 teams right now, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, and the Rockies. If one of those teams finds a way to go 25-5 over a 30-game stretch here in the next month, they're going to put themselves in a great position to win the division.
Corey, let me ask you a question. We've noticed Daniel Castro, check out where he stands in the box. He's about a foot in front of where other major league hitters typically stand. Why?
What that does is it typically makes the ball get on you faster. It helps you create going the other way, staying inside the baseball. I think if you had a guy with a little more velo, he might move back just a hair.
Smith strikes him out. The Rockies, for the first time today, go in order. Middle of 6th, the Rockies trailing the Giants 7-4. Next inning, Longoria, Crawford, and Miguel Gomez with Brooks Pounders now on the bump, coming off a good 2-inning stint in his last outing. It'll be his 5th game since being called up from Albuquerque. Rockies made one other change. They double switch with the pitcher due up next. Castro made the last out. He comes out. Pat Valleca's in at second base. He'll lead off next inning. Pounders goes into that 8th spot in the lineup. Strike one on Longoria. He had an infield hit in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 3. There's Patty Barrels. And that's a base hit. "15 hits for the Giants. The first 2 ball games, which included a 12-inning ball game, they had only 12 hits.
I think right there you saw a conscious effort by Evan Longoria to let that ball travel, to stay inside it and hit it into the shift. Nobody playing on the right side.
The Giants have done that multiple times tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, you can think back to Andrew McCutchen. You can think back to Buster Posey. That's the deal with veteran hitters who can manipulate the barrel.
Crawford drives this ball to deep right field, and this one is gone. Brandon Crawford with his 4th of the year. It is 9-4 San Francisco.
Get a 4-seam fastball. They wanted elevated and in. That is right down the heart of the plate. Crawford drops the head. Swing is in sequence, and he hits it out. Talking about momentum earlier, Spilly, and just the swings that the game can have. And after Gerardo Parra gets thrown out at third base, all that momentum pushed in the direction of the San Francisco Giants.
That's right. 4 runs in the last 2 innings after that play.
Yeah, and the number one thing, what I'm about to say is such a departure from what we've watched on the road by and large the whole season. The Rockies haven't pitched well today.
Nope. But it happens.
It does happen. They've been sensational, especially on the road. This is when we run down by Dahl on the warning track. That'll retire Gomez first out.
Spend Memorial Day weekend at the ballpark and catch the Rockies versus the Reds and the Giants. Get your tickets at Rockies.com.
Gray gave up 5 runs on 9 hits and 3 2/3. Chris Rusin in an inning and a third gave up a couple of runs on 5 hits. He walked 1 and struck out 2. 1 out. Here's Gorkys Hernandez. How about the run Brandon Crawford's on? 7-game hitting streak. He's hitting .600, 15 for 25. He's got 4 ribbies today. 3 more hits for Crawford. One of the beautiful things about baseball is every time you think you have it figured out,
Humble pie coming.
a humble pie, it'll throw a curve at you, literally and figuratively.
Pull a string.
So the Giants playing in one of the great pitchers' parks of all time. This year they're averaging 4.7 runs at home, just 3.3 out on the road, and they have a 9 spot this afternoon. Strikeout of Hernandez, 2 outs. And they're 5th in the league at home in scoring runs. Kelby Tomlinson's going to be the pinch hitter for Will Smith.
Just going back to the discussion about poor start for John Gray tonight. The Rockies starters the last 12 games on the road. I'm pretty sure we would all take these numbers every single time. They've been 7-4, 256. Opponents hitting 215.
Great numbers.
Great numbers. You'll have the occasional egg. It happens.
There's never a time, even when you feel like your club's playing tremendous baseball, there's always something. There's always a wart to point out. And it's not just being a Rockies fan, just being a fan of baseball in general. We were sitting around the other night, I think it was over dinner, and talking about the Rockies had struggled at home. I said, guess what? Every other team in baseball, even the Houston Astros, world champs, great team, great starting pitching. The people that follow them closest, whether it be fans or announcers, reporters, front office people, they'll sit around, they'll find things that they're uneasy about. Giants right now a 5-run lead.
Crawford 2-run homer. Now Crawford, growing up in Pleasanton, California, about 30 minutes east of here, loved the Giants growing up. In fact, in 2000, when AT&T Park opened, his family purchased a brick to engrave their names on it. At the time, Crawford was a 13-year-old shortstop with hopes of playing for the Giants one day. Fast forward less than 20 years from then, and he's here. A 2-time World Series champion with the San Francisco Giants. So guys, I think it's just a good remember. Dream on. You never know what could happen if you dream big.
Yeah, it's neat when the youngster grows up to play for his hometown team. That doesn't happen every day. Pat Valleca's first at bat will come against Colorado native Pierce Johnson. Second appearance for Pierce out of Faith Christian High School in Arvada in this series. Went to Missouri State. Valleca, Blackman, Dahl in the 7th with the Rockies trailing 9-4. Breaking balls in there. Kelby Tomlinson sticks around also. He replaces Miguel Gomez at second. Two and one on Valleca. That's out of play. misses. 3-2. Rockies had a 2-0 lead early. That seems like a long time ago.
It does.
1 out. And Charlie Blackman will come up. Charlie's 2 for 3. He has scored a couple of runs. So you're under oath, both of you, right now. Did you wake up at 4:30, set your alarm, and watch the royal wedding?
We didn't go to sleep. We just stayed up all night.
Up?
Yeah, we made it till about 5:15, 5:20ish. Called it. We thought we should get a little bit of sleep. So
Stella McCarthy made the dress. It was beautiful.
No.
She made the reception dress.
The reception dress. Givenchy made the gown with the 30-foot train. It wasn't 30 feet, but
it was 26.
I didn't get the accurate measurement when we were watching.
Yeah, we were watching, but it was great.
I
We
saw
had
the
a great
highlights.
time.
It's cool.
Yeah, the highlights.
That's why
were
his
good.
sunglasses are on.
I did like the carriage ride around England. That's sweet.
You thinking of purchasing one for your
It was a
Stapleton neighbor?
$48 million wedding.
I don't think her dad paid for it. I'm thinking the Queen took that bill.
I got it.
Yeah.
Hand it over. 48 mil. Get you a nice wedding. Get you a backhand reliever too, huh?
A couple of them. $48 million wedding. That's crazy. And you know they made money on it, so they probably doubled or tripled whatever they spent.
0-2. So much for the destination wedding, right? Save a few shekels.
We were talking about the shell game that they're going to play to get out for their honeymoon.
They're going to have these private planes
Yeah,
going
all different
everywhere
directions.
to throw off the paparazzi, right? We're going to be on somebody's private island. 2 outs.
They're not going to the
Royal
Bahamas. They're not taking a cruise with a bunch of people.
They're going to Atlantis for the weekend.
Do you think you will ever get to a point where they have a Vegas wedding, a royal Vegas wedding?
They're going to the Catskills.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
They're going where Sully went growing up. They're going to the Poconos. Hiding in plain sight. Dahl's 0 for 3.
It was a really pretty wedding. Like everything was nice.
Yes. We were talking about it yesterday and having some fun with it. It's way out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it's great.
So that's why you got to be into peeking and
It's the Kentucky Derby of weddings. That's what it felt like. I felt like I was watching.
But even that, I mean, I love the analogy. But the Kentucky Derby,
the
we know it's
Triple
going to happen every May, right? We know it's going to happen. This is, once in a, bunch of years kind of occurrence. And they know how to throw a wedding, the Royals. You got to give it to them.
Yeah, they were great.
They got, nice places to hold them. There's a line single for David. That's got to feel good on a tough day otherwise for the Rockies. That's his first hit of the road trip. And he's been putting it in play and sometimes sharply, but nothing to show for it.
I am curious how many wedding requests from the guest goes out to the Prince and the Duchess. Can I come? Can Corey Sullivan and I come to your wedding? How many people requested to go to this thing?
Do you think it works that way? You ask to go? I mean, you either hope you go by your mailbox every day and you hope if you know them, you hope you get invited, right? You don't call.
It'd be
You don't
real-
call up
the queen.
your neighborhood prince or princess and say, hey, by the way, I'd really be interested. I got nothing going that weekend.
You got to imagine somebody tries to crash it too.
Who's the guy that showed up at all the Super Bowls?
The guy with the fan and the parachute?
Was Marlon's man there? Was he at the wedding?
Season tickets to royal weddings.
Were you blowing off the weekend series in San Francisco if you got invited?
100%.
This is sharply hit, and Tomlinson makes the play. That's a good play by Tomlinson. Takes a knock away from Nolan. Dahl got a base hit. He's left the board. 9-4 San Francisco, middle of 7. Cooney, Lexus look back. The Rockies got off to a great start. They got a run in the first, a run in the second. Nolan driving in Charlie Blackmon. But then the Giants came alive. 2-run double there off the bat of Brandon Crawford. It wouldn't be the last time you mentioned Crawford's name for the Giants. He had a 2-run home run also. And we're back live. 9-4 San Francisco leading. Brooks Pounder's second inning of work. He gave up the 2-run home run last inning to Crawford. Gregor Blanco, Andrew McCutchen, Buster Posey, 1, 2, and 3 in the Giants lineup. Blanco has a triple and 4 at bats. The other 3, he has struck out, and now he's behind 0-2. John Gray got the start for the Rockies, lasted just 3 2/3. Second tough start in a row for John. 5 runs, 9 hits over 3 2/3. Rockies were getting after Chris Stratton as well, but he's on the plus side. 5 innings, he gave up 4 runs. Looked like he may have gone. I guess not. And for the 4th time, Blanco goes down. 3 straight strikeouts for Brooks Pounders. That brings up Andrew McCutchen.
Don't miss your chance to see Def Leppard and Journey at Coors Field on Saturday, July 21st. Tickets are still available at rockies.com/concerts. I know one person who's going to be there.
Are you going?
If I can, I will, but I was going to say our good friend and director, Erica Ferrero. I imagine she'll be there. Big 80s rock.
That'll be a great show. Erica's been ecstatic the last couple of years because one of her favorite bands, one of my favorite bands, we shared, Zach Brown Band, playing at Coors Field the last couple of years. McCutcheon hits this in the air to shallow center. This is going to be tough again, and Charlie can't handle it, and McCutcheon ends up at second. Fellas, I guess it's not a fun day to play the outfield at AT&T Park. That's the third ball in the air that's dropped for the Giants.
Skied in the air, it's up in the air long enough, but just based on where Charlie's playing and the read that Gerardo had in left, there's just no way for them to both get there.
McCutcheon will take it. Gets a double out of the deal. Second double, third hit of the ball game for McCutcheon. 17 knocks now for the Giants. Posey has a couple of them. Desmond, no play. Wind, sun, combination, what do you got?
Combo, it's difficult to play in the wind. It's also a couple poor reads from the outfielders, and it's been on both sides, so it's not Charlie, it's not picking on Gerardo, but there's been some poor reads from outfielder. Greater Blanco, who's been known as a defensive outfielder. It's how he's made a living in this game. He's had some poor reads and left as well. Of all the elements for an outfielder, wind and sun are least favorite.
Does it do you much good? I'm looking at the flags, but does it do you much good to do like a golfer, like we do as hackers on the golf course, pick up grass and throw it up in the air?
You can do it, but it's just you're picking up grass and throwing it in the air.
Because it's what's going on 60, 70 feet above you. This is line toward Dahl. He made that catch, didn't he? Yes, he did. Good play by David. 2 outs.
I don't think Buster's going to come off first base.
He wants to hang there. He's kind of waiting for the video review. Now he's coming off the field.
That's a nice play.
The old shoestring catch. Sent Dougie on a search mission yet today. Who came up with the term shoestring catch, Doug? 2 outs, Belt at the plate. 2 for 3 and a walk for Belt. He's driven in a run. Strike 1.
He's on his way to the end of the internet over there.
It's like the bar at the end of the world. Good song.
I'm unfamiliar.
Kenny Chesney. 2-1. The first use came, Sully, in 1904, and it's attributed to the writer Peter Morris from the Chicago Tribune.
Well done, Dougie.
That's great. 1904 was that's when it was coined? Cool. And we still use it now.
It's got some shelf life to it, huh? 3-1 on Brandon Belt. Big swing and a miss from the big Texan. 3-2. And we have to credit the Dickinson Baseball Dictionary for that information. Always cite your sources.
Let's get a can of corn.
Swung on and missed. A punch out. McCutcheon left at second. We'll go to the 8th. The Rockies work to do. They're down 5 runs. On AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Beautiful day for a ride over into Marin County, maybe Sausalito. Panda's in the game. He's at first base. Brandon Belt has moved from first to left. McCutcheon comes out. Blanco goes from left to right. McCutcheon going to second. Nothing looked suspicious there. And he said something to Ronnie Wotus. Tell Ron was kind of barking ahead to the dugout. Sam Dyson's now on the mound in the 8th inning. Gerardo Parra, Trevor Story, Ian Desmond. Rockies looking for a late rally. So Dyson, third pitcher out of the pen today for the Giants. Parra is going to roll this to second base. Tomlinson throws out Gerardo. That'll bring up Story, who had an RBI hit in the 5th. At the time, it made it 5-4, and you had a good feeling, didn't you?
Yeah, that was where it felt like the momentum was coming back to the Rockies, and unfortunately, it swung the other direction.
That's a strike on Trevor. RBI for Trevor is 33rd. One of the interesting things about the Rockies this year, at least so far. This is game number 46. You have 3 different players leading in the traditional offensive measurements of batting average, home runs, and runs batted in. Trevor leading the club with 33 RBIs. Blackman leading in home runs. Nolan is 4th in the league in hitting. He's number 1 in that department. Dyson strikes out Story.
The first 15,000 fans through the gates for the Rockies versus Reds game on May 26th will receive a 25th anniversary season all-time 25 roster t-shirt, courtesy of 106.7 The Bull.
Desmond a walk in the 2nd, and he scored a run. Sharp single, stolen base, scored a run again in the 4th, grounded to 3rd his last time up. Harrison Musgrave tossing in the Rockies bullpen. Dyson misses twice.
I'd like to see Desmond get another hit, back-to-back days with the multi-hit game. Just get that mechanics locked in.
Clearly, you'd love to see the Rockies mount, the huge comeback.
Sure.
But I'm with you. If a couple of small positives come out of this, if the Rockies are unable to overcome the 5-run deficit late, that would be significant. 2-1 on Desi. 2-2. Let's talk about the wind and how it can wreak havoc with balls in the air. Were you ever distracted by the wind, uncomfortable by the wind when you were standing in the batter's box?
I can tell you a game in Buffalo, New York, in AAA with the Mets. We actually got winded out, but the wind was blowing so hard in that it blew the dust into the hitter's eyes. And multiple times the game had to be stopped and delayed because of it.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
We actually got we did get winded out once too.
It's the first time I've ever seen a napkin delay.
It was blowing around the mound. 3-2 on Ian Desmond. And Desmond draws a walk. I'll bring up Walters. Tony's 1 for 3, a single back in the 4th inning. Two-seamer back over the plate for a strike. Oh, 2. Dodgers did hang on and beat the Nationals 4-1 in that first game of 2. Phillies improved to 9 games over 500. They beat the Cardinals today 7-6. Odubel Herrera, what a first half he's having. He hit another home run. He's got 7. Down the line, foul.
How many games in a row is that he's been reaching safely on base? Is it over 49, close to 50 games now?
It's well over 40. I don't think it's been interrupted, right?
No. Phillies and Braves.
Phillies and Braves legit, right?
Yep, they're legit. No signs of slowing down.
Desmond took off on the 0-2 pitch. He'll come back.
And both teams are playing with youthful exuberance, with some veteran presence, and I think more importantly, whenever you're looking at teams like these, is you have to look at the starting pitching, and both teams have had fairly decent starting pitching.
Okay, for all you fibbers out there, stand up if you had Atlanta and Philadelphia on top of the NL East 3rd week of May.
I had the Marlins.
Even the most ardent Marlin fan left didn't have the Marlins. Derek Jeter didn't have the Marlins.
He said he thinks they can contend.
When?
He said that in the interview with, I'm trying to remember who that, it was a pretty contentious interview.
Brian Gumbel?
The one with Brian Gumbel.
Yeah.
Contend this year?
He asked him if he thought they were contenders, and he said, I think we can contend. I mean, he's doing what you're supposed to do. And
yeah, I get it. You can't come out and say, I think we're going to be awful. Braves are getting contributions from young players like Ozzie Albies, who's having an MVP like first couple of months. Ronald Acuna, who they brought up, who's a much celebrated prospect, has played like a much celebrated prospect. Good job by Tony. Phillies pitching staff being led by Aaron Nola.
He can pitch. He's been one of the guys over the last couple of years that ranks right near the top in weak contact. He's not an overpowering pitcher. And threw really well in a game last year at Coors Field.
Gabe Kapler's not getting booed anymore in Philadelphia. Strike 3 on Tony. We move to the bottom of the 8th inning. San Francisco 9 and the Rockies 4. Performance matchup of the two starters. John Gray unfortunately lasted just 3 2/3. 5 runs, 9 hits. Chris Stratton The Rockies got after him pretty well, but he's on the winning side of things. He gave up 4 runs, 3 earned, 8 hits in 5 innings of work. Brooks Pounder's 3rd inning of work, and he misses ball 1 on Evan Longoria. A couple of singles this afternoon for Longoria, the former face of the Tampa Rays franchise. Now battling wind is Desmond. It'll make the catch.
Rockies baseball is always live with the MLB at Bat mobile app. Stay connected all season with video highlights, stats, news, and more.
Brandon Crawford, single, 2-run double, fly ball to center field, 2-run home run. Brandon Crawford has his batting average at .304. You know what his batting average was 3 weeks ago when the month of May started? .189.
That's impressive. Turn it around that fast.
April showers bring May flowers. Ball and a strike. Well, he's hitting .456 over his 18 ball games in May. That will move you up over 100 points. Two and one on the Giants shortstop. Pounders goes up in the zone, 2-2. And a strikeout. Pounders with his 4th strikeout since coming aboard. Actually, let me correct that. That's his 5th strikeout. And here's San Francisco favorite, Kung Fu Panda. He always plays with a smile on his face. Pablo Sandoval's first at bat.
The Rockies have the benefit of using Brooks Pounders. Today he hadn't thrown since May the 13th, and this saves the bullpen. Saves you up for Sunday to win the series. That's what you're hoping for.
Sandoval, some terrific years with San Francisco, signed a big free agent deal with the Red Sox, and did not happen for him there. And didn't happen for him in that at bat. That is strikeout number 6 for Pounders in 3 innings of work. We'll go to the top of the 9th, the Giants by 5.
You color by numbers.
It still doesn't look like that.
It still wouldn't look like that, exactly. How many people do you think have gone down there to do exactly that, paint the Golden Gate Bridge? Hey, coming up after the final out in this ball game, the Toyota postgame show, which will come from right here in beautiful San Francisco. Scoreboard not so pretty right now. It started out nicely for the Rockies. They're up 2-0. They're down 9-4. And Tony Watson will make his 20th appearance. The Rockies will pinch hit Noel Cuevas here in the pitcher's spot, which is now the 8th spot in the lineup. Originally occupied by Daniel Castro. So Cuevas, the pinch hitter.
These are the tough ABs, Billy. Down by 5, getting a pinch hit at bat. You got to stay focused. Grind it out. See if you can get yourself a knock.
Cuevas started yesterday against Derek Holland. And that's a little floater caught by Brandon Crawford, 1 out. Who Wants Tacos fans, follow us at AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies do score 7 in a ball game. Here's Pat Valleca's second at bat. Struck out swinging his first time.
Talked about the small adjustment that Valleca has made, just raising his hands a little bit higher. Didn't get a chance to do it in AAA, and now you're limited in working on it at the major league level as a pinch hitter with maybe a double switch, so you get an opportunity like today where he gets multiple at bats. But it's basically cage work and batting practice, and that's not a great place to get the results and the confidence that you want when you make small adjustments.
On the swing, 1-2. Another little floater. It's grabbed by Tomlinson. The Rockies down to their final out. Glance at the starting pitchers Sunday afternoon as the Rockies will conclude this 4-game set against the Giants. A couple of lefties. Tyler Anderson for the Rockies, looking for his 4th victory. And at a Regis Jesuit High School, down just off Parker Road and Arapahoe Road. Ty Block will go for the Giants. Charlie takes a strike. A couple of hits, a couple of runs scored this afternoon for Charlie. Getting that swing back together. Hit the home run late last night. With 3 hits in his last 5 at bats. Today's crowd, 39,195. Rising right now. It's an 0-2 count on Blackman. On the ground to Crawford. Giants prevail. They end a 3-game losing streak as they win 9-4 this afternoon. A rare blemish for the Rockies pitching staff this afternoon. They've been doing so well, particularly out on the road. The Rockies will fall to 25-21. They're still 3-2 on this road trip. A chance to win the series tomorrow afternoon. The Giants improved to 23-24. The winning pitcher, Chris Stratton, he's 5-3. John Gray takes the loss. John is 4-6. Stick around. The Toyota postgame show from here in San Francisco will be next.